Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with an album on Alpha that you guys told me about, actually. Thank you very much. It's called Young and Foolish. I have no idea why. It consists of Mozart and CPE Bach. Which one is young and which one is foolish? Well, Mozart was young, CPE Bach was older, but certainly not foolish. And Mozart, when he wrote the pieces here, well, one of them he was very young. It's only Kochel 138. We'll get to what that is in a minute. But the other was Kochel 453, which is rather late for Mozart. I just don't understand. The title tells us nothing. It is deceptive and useless. So let's get that out of the way. Now, the reason to get this disc was because, as the reader who commented pointed out, it contains CPE Bach's totally fabulous, amazing Concerto for Harpsichord and Fortepiano in E-flat major, Votken 47, H number 49479, if you care. It's just an amazing work. The orchestra is Café Zimmermann, which is a wonderful period instrument group, sometimes, in Bach and things like that, under Pablo Valetti. The pianoforte person is Alexander Melnikov, who's a very good forte pianist, and Céline Frisch is the harpsichord and pianoforte person in various works. So, what have we got here on the disc? First, you get CPE Bach's Symphony in D major, Votken 183, pardon me. It's 183. Number one. There's a typo here. It should be 183, number one. That's a mistake. But, that's the one that you think is going to be, well, it says it's in D major, but it sounds like it's in anything but D major. It begins with the syncopated violins, and underneath it they're going, it does that a bunch of times. And then there's this huge, despairing, wailing climax, and then it flops over, possibly, into D major. Who the hell knows? It's really a terrific symphony. It is all over the place. It's so much fun. It's one of those symphonies with 12 obbligato parts, I think, is what it's called. And, it's just so obbligato. I mean, you're just going to love it. Then you got the amazing, witty, fabulous, funny Concerto for Harpsichord and Fortepiano, which is just one of the great, unimaginable masterpieces of the 18th century keyboard literature. And it was CPE Bach's last concerto. It's a late work. And really just extraordinarily full of wit. You would call it Haydnesque, actually, because it has that kind of humor and good spirits and witty interplay between the two instruments and delicious textural contrasts and all of those yummy, delicious things. And it's very well performed here. It really is. My only problem is that Café Zimmermann sounds a little bit undernourished, as so often is the case with period instrument groups with, mostly strings. But it doesn't matter so much in the CPE Bach pieces. The Mozart is another issue. Now, the Mozart begins with the Divertimento in F major, Kochel 138, which is a charming, light-hearted, Mozart-y type thing. I guess that's the young part. But then you get the Piano Concerto number 17. And the soloist is, I believe, Céline Frisch, I think in this case, who's a perfectly fine soloist, and who plays the piano part. Let me make sure I've got it right here, because they don't tell you who plays it. Why should they? It would make it so much easier to figure things out. She is, yes, the soloist in 10, 11, and 12. It's Alexander Melnikov in the Mozart. She plays the piano in the other stuff, in the Divertimento and the harpsichord and I don't know what. Anyway, so we've got Melnikov as the pianist, and he's very good, and he plays with a lot of ornamentation, which is fine. I mean, the ornamentation is well done. It's tasteful. It makes sense. I enjoy it. I really wonder when it comes to all this ornamentation stuff, what it actually does. Everyone talks about how it, makes the melody more expressive and does this. In slow movements, I can see that. In quick movements, nah, not so much. You don't need it so badly, but that's okay. The ornaments, we like the ornaments. They're delightful ornaments. The problem is the orchestral parts. My goodness gracious. It's not that they're bad. It's just that it fascinates me to hear somebody like, Sándor Vég with the, Mozart Camerata Academica, or whatever that thing is called, on Decca, where you have wonderful contributions from the woodwinds. And here, with a theoretically period instrument group, you barely hear them. It's weird. It's just so weird. You know, the finale, da-da-dum-bum, ba-da-dum-bum, ba-dum-dum, woodwinds, da-da-da-da-da. You know, there should be like serious interjections of color. I mean, here you barely notice they're there. It's also true at the very beginning. Dun da da dum bum ba da da dum ba da dum bum ba. Woodwinds do 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 like that. Huh? There's just it fascinates me how the theoretical raison d'être for using period instruments, which is that it makes the music more colorful and they have more rhythm and they have this and they have that, is as often as not simply untrue. And it's untrue here. I mean, Café Zimmermann does great stuff for alpha in like the Bach concertos and things like that, Baroque music that involves shorter melodic units that break up into more plainly rhythmic little bits. And you can play them shorter for that reason. But here, this is Mozart. It's got to have long breath melodies. It's got to have warmth. You have to have woodwinds that juggle and burble and gurgle like real characters. Now, Melnikov does a fine job with the piano parts. As I said, there's nothing wrong with his contribution, and the balance between the piano forte or fortepiano and the orchestra is very, very good. So it's an enjoyable performance for what it is. I just think that there are many better. There are better ones on regular instruments. There's no advantage to using period instruments. It seems like there's actually a disadvantage, and I just wanted to point that out. But for the CPE Bach stuff, this is definitely worth hearing. And for the Mozart, well, it's good, but it's just not extraordinary. And the title is just foolish. Forget young, just plain foolish. Doesn't tell us anything. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.